Pok ni betul.
The Business Lab.
Hi, welcome to Dewi Voices, a segment of SMCCI's The Business Lab. And Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri! Today's podcast is brought to you by the people from ID Entity, Thrive by Tree, and of course, the magicians from Studio 5 Corp. Thank you guys. Okay, hi Filzah. We're happy to have you today.
Yes, such a cozy place.
Very, yes. And we only have one Kuih Raya. Okay, so sorry about that.
No worries.
Nanti I get the more sponsors for the cookies. Alright, so you are the owner of Student People SG
Yep.
in Singapore. And for me, as a fellow hijabi also, I've always loved shopping for hijabs, even when I know I don't need one. But being girls, you know, you just want one.
Yes, you always have to have more than one.
Yes, even before I was wearing hijab, I'm always like enticed by kedai-kedai yang jual all these hijab shawls and all that. And you will usually start buying even before you actually wear them.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. And then when I do, and then of course sometimes when you go kenduri or when the occasion calls for it, then you, of course you have already like some shawls in your collection.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm so happy to have you on board today. All right. So that you can share with us. Because I think yours is a bit different from the normal business owner, I would say.
Yeah.
Because the brand is perhaps already there, but you bring it into Singapore.
Yeah.
So perhaps you can share with us a little bit more.
Yeah. So I think like what you shared, right? Macam when you, before you even wear the hijab, you already started shopping for tudung. But I think mine is the opposite. Mine is only when I started wearing the hijab, then baru people started gifting me actually hijab.
Okay.
So I think my my journey in tudung, in informing Tudung People Singapore actually started from a friend gifting me a very nice tudung. Yeah, and I remember it's like a pink scarf.
Right.
Yeah, and she said that, oh, this scarf is very different because like you macam the material is good, the flow is good. And then when I wore it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's different. It makes me look like more elegant.
Right.
And it tahan lagi lama. Yeah, so I was very curious and intrigued lah when Tudung People, the brand itself, at that point of time coincidentally was also looking for sole distributors to actually macam have a bigger market presence in Singapore. Yeah, so like what you said, I think my story is a little bit different because I'm not the product developer,
Right.
but I'm the one who actually like macam develop the brand further and to localize to the Singapore market. Yeah.
But wouldn't you say that to bring somebody else's brand into the market, do you not need to have prior experience in similar business?
Yeah, that's true. So I think I use a lot of my experience because I'm a communications and new media graduate, right? So I use a lot of my experience in new media marketing
Okay.
to actually macam build the customer base,
Right.
to build and grow the customer base lah. So like I think when you start out a business, I think the most fundamental thing is always to find your customers lah, no matter
Of
where,
course,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So I think that was where my strength was because I knew exactly like what to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And also prior to that, I also had a lot of businesses that I started that macam I wouldn't say like took off as much as Student People Singapore did lah. Yeah. So that was also part of my learning curve. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of which, you mentioned you started something else before
Yes,
Student People SG. And I think that's also important because for all the business owners out there, perhaps it's a good thing for all of us to know that you may not necessarily make it big the first time you try.
Yeah, of course.
You may face a few stumble blocks,
Yeah.
a few failures before you actually hit the jackpot, so to
In a
speak.
way.
Yeah. So perhaps just before Tudung People SG, I understand you were running something else.
Yes, correct.
HIJNTT?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Hijantati was formed as a result of running Student People Singapore.
Oh,
Like I wanted to develop another brand. But prior to starting Student People Singapore, I was actually like a financial consultant.
Okay.
So in financial consultancy was where I learned the importance of like building systems to actually find customers. That was a very integral part of my entrepreneurship journey, I would say. And then prior to that, I was also running an e-commerce business, selling makeup.
Oh, right.
Yes, but that didn't really take off because the product wasn't the right fit lah. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you like integrate all these learning points from the previous businesses that you delve into? How do you what are some of the learning points then which you inculcate into the Student People SG perhaps?
So one of the things I was lucky enough to learn from Dr. Malik Hassan in retrospect kan, macam is that like macam when we build a business, we have to build like, it's like building a home, right? Where you have to be patient and you have to like build it pillar by pillar lah, kan? So one of the pillar is like finding your customers. So I think like I use a lot of my macam knowledge in financial consultancy to find customers in replicating like and tweaking the system to digital marketing. Yes, that's one. And then the next pillar is in terms of e-commerce, because when I ran my e-commerce business in makeup, right, I already knew what to do lah back end, things like that. So when I started Student People Singapore, it was mostly online, right, trying to systemize it online. So I had prior knowledge, so I just had to do it better lah in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
So that means you already have the online experience in running a business.
Yes, in a way. Correct.
So now the next challenge then would be that how to step up the game by running a brick and mortar store.
Yes, but it took us quite a long while lah, because I think we only set up a brick and mortar physical presence last year only. Yeah.
Okay.
So a long build up.
What made you decided to have a store here? Was it you who suggested the idea to Student People in Malaysia, or they were the ones who wanted you to have?
I think much throughout the years as we were working together, it has always been that dream to set up a physical store in Singapore, right? But because I think when it comes to macam hijabi market in Singapore, it's a very niche market,
right?
Yeah, right. And then I wasn't really willing to take a very huge risk because tak tahu how's the market response going to be, and the rental is very high in Singapore. Yeah, so I had to macam for me, I wanted to take a more calculated risk when like customers are like ready, you know, and asking for it. Okay, that's one. And then also when I feel that the products that we are offering to customers is like really a very good product market fit lah.
Right.
Yeah, so I think like last year was a good time because macam people were actually loving Student People products, kan? So and it was just a matter of like when we want to do it and where to find the resources. Yeah, so I think I was also motivated a lot by customers' demand, I would say. Yeah.
Alright, so there are a lot of student brands out there. What makes Student People SG like different from the other brands?
I think what makes us very different, I would say, is that we have like we have a collection for every style that customers prefer.
Okay.
Macam we have for sports, and then we also have for people who like instants, and then for people who like macam satin silk, for people who like ironless. Yeah, so we basically have a whole wide range of fabric, style, and also occasions. Yeah, and that's something that the product development team in Malaysia has developed over the years lah. And of course, it took us a long while also to macam test the market lah.
Right. How involved are you in the decision making of what products can sell? And because sometimes things that sell in Malaysia may not work in Singapore. Have you stumbled onto that? Have you experienced that before? That
yes, of course. Of course, when macam certain collections that work well in Malaysia, maybe might not work well in Singapore, and vice versa. I mean, initially I think macam instance, for example, right? It took us a while to actually find the correct design that would suit like the kind of modern design that Singaporeans want, where it's like an instant but don't look like an instant.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So it took us a while to actually find our macam the instant collection. But our very star collection is always the regular shawls lah.
Right, yeah. I'm not an instant shawl kind of girl.
Neither am I.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's supposed to make it easier, but when I put on, like, I still have to make a lot more adjustments than when
Correct.
I
Yeah,
wear my
because
own
I think
shawl.
of our face shape.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, so that's one of the learning experience that you gained from this. Okay, then perhaps what are the challenges? Because like running something which is initially from Malaysia and then making it on your own in Singapore, what would be some of the challenges?
Challenges. Wow, banyak sangat challenges. Where do I start? So I think it's interesting that like even though like I don't kira-kira macam like product development is not something that I would have to work on a lot, but operational and marketing operations itself, actually there's a lot of challenges lah, because I think one of the challenges is adapting to customers' preference and also the market changes. Yeah, so adapting to changes, like for example, when we started having more volume, right? Then operational, in terms of the processes and the operational punya back end, it has to keep up with the demand as well. Yeah, because if we have a lot of orders, for example, but we don't have enough to back end operations to serve it, then there will be a lack of time.
Correct.
You know, yeah. So that's where there are challenges, especially like macam during peak period lah.
Like right now.
Yeah, correct. So then over the years, I have learned macam okay, how to actually be 10 steps or 20 steps ahead. Yeah, before the problem happens. But no matter how much you prepare or plan for a problem, a next problem will come.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so that's the thing that makes our journey as a business owner more challenging.
It's both exciting and a bit daunting sometimes.
Yes, it can be. Yes, I agree. So moving on from the challenges that you face in running Student People SG, how about now mentioning some of the milestones that Student People has achieved in Singapore?
I think over the years, some of the milestones that I really love was actually when we, in 2018, when we started having our first like marketing activation with a group of influencers. Where we actually iftar together, and then that's where we met like macam 20 or 30 influencers. That's where we connected, you know, and for the first time met physically lah. Macam previously it's mostly online presence, right? Yeah, and then after that we started organizing our own events. So we will collaborate with other brands to actually macam have a marketplace event. Yeah, that's also has been quite a success over the years. And then third is joining big events, like for example like Celeb Fest. Yeah, and seeing like wow, like we had so many customers coming in, you know, like sometimes it's like beyond my expectations lah. Yeah, and of course the most recent milestone that I'm actually very proud of is actually the opening of our boutique.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, because it's like 9 to 10 years in the making. Yeah, and then the process of like macam constructing the boutique itself was only like we only had 2 to 3 months lah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was very short.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 to 3 months of having that idea to actually realizing that into a shop.
Correct.
Including the reno works.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a feat.
Yes.
And congratulations on having the retail store.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to share with the viewers and listeners where is your shop?
So Student People Singapore is located at 55 Arab Street, and it's a very nice and strategic place just opposite of the favorite coffee joint Arabica.
Oh yes. Okay. So from Student People SG and also HIJNTT, will there be a point in time where you will revive HIJNTT?
Yes, inshallah. Because like HIJNTT is something that I envision it to be like a social enterprise. Where it's like a wing where we give back to the community. Yeah, because like I feel like in when we serve the hijabi market, right? That's in fashion, right? Yeah. So my other interest is education. Right. So it's like the soul part of like of modesty.
And
yeah.
Okay. So okay, coming back to Tudong People SG, how different it is from running your own brand, and then right now it's from a Malaysian brand, and then how is it different from running HIG entity, which is your own brand, your own hard work from the get-go? Yeah. What's the main difference, if you don't mind sharing, for those who may be thinking of bringing in or collaborating with businesses from not just Malaysia but any other parts of the world?
Okay, I think the difference is probably in like where you put your strength into, right? So for example, if I work as a product based owner, I would have to work. I would have to excel in the products first, lah, right? But as a master franchise owner, right? Then my focus would be on like operations and marketing.
Right.
So I think in terms of your strength and capability, where you put your strength and capabilities would be different. Yeah, and secondly, probably also in terms of the synergy, I would say. Yeah, because like when you start on your own, of course, a lot of things you have to figure out on your own, right? But when you are working with other product owners, right? You get to have a strategic alliance with what are their strengths, and then we build strategic alliances from there. Yeah.
Okay, so that got me curious. How did you approach Student People Malaysia about having it in Singapore, or were you poached? Yeah.
So like I said, like they were calling out for sole distributor. So me and my friend, we actually wrote into them to pitch ourselves lah to them. Then over the years, we actually built like a friendship and built a family from there. We built a lot of trust. Yeah, so it grew incrementally. Yeah.
Okay. How long was that?
How
long did it take for them to like finally we're gonna
that
work
was
on this
like
together?
probably like a few months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they agreed to you being the sole distributor in Singapore.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. So what are your future plans for Student People SG?
I think my future plans for Student People Singapore would be to build up our presence, our physical presence in Arab Street, and form more collaborations with people around the area, right? Because I think that's what makes Arab Street very unique. You have a lot of Muslim-owned businesses, right? So it's very nice if we can actually build strategic collaborations with them. Yeah. And then second, to also have very local flavors of products that is very unique to Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah, because one very interesting thing that I've learned is that being at Arab Street, there's a lot of foreigners and a lot of local non-Muslims who actually walk into our shop being very interested in our product.
Right.
And that's something new that I really appreciate. First, like they will buy like a scarf, not just to wear it as like macam like us
For
Muslims,
them,
right? Because we cover, right? For them, it's like they want to use it as like a home decor.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they use it as like a macam like a baju. So I think it's very interesting.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's like more of like for in a more fashionable sense to them,
Yeah,
instead
correct.
of us like covering our art.
Yes, yeah, and also I hope to build like a learning community amongst our customer base, and I think we have started like, for example, like offering styling sessions to beginners.
Do you have that already, or
Yeah, it's always been something that I love doing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I think when a lady just started wearing the hijab, they need that kind of support and confidence.
Yeah.
And I think I look back into my journey, I also needed that lah, right?
Yes.
So that actually brings me a lot of fulfillment. And then also we also recently had like a floral workshop, which customers also really like. So I really appreciate like forming a community among our customers lah. And it's nice that we have a physical space as well to execute it.
So before we end today's session, what would be some of your advice to future business owners out there?
Being an entrepreneur is a very lifelong learning journey, right? You have to have that mindset of like always wanting to learn more and learning from everywhere and anywhere. It could be from people, especially mentors.
Right.
Like like for example, being in Protege kita last year, talking to like Dr. Malik Hassan, who has done businesses. You know, like it's just nuggets of wisdom that he shares, but you take that one wisdom, right? You execute it. It can actually make a lot of difference in your business. Yeah, so don't be afraid to talk to people who are more far way better ahead in their journey than you, because you get to learn from their mistakes and don't have to repeat their mistakes lah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you for your time, Filzah. So I wish you all the best
Thank
for
you.
Student People SG, and hopefully you will be able to revive HIG entity back,
Yes,
and
inshallah.
perhaps whatever good projects that you have in mind in future.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Selamat Hari Raya to you too.
Thank you. Yeah, and then perhaps I'll drop by to your shop one of these days.
Yes, please come.
And then you can share how more tudung style, because I'm just wearing like that. You know, it's
Yes,
just me
I will
like
share a
lilit
lot
satu
more.
kali sudah, you know.
Then you can try to wear squares as well.
I can never do squares. I don't know. Like I look so like I don't know. I cannot pull that one off. But anyway, thank you again for
Yes,
your
it was
time.
nice talking to you.
Yeah. So thank you to our viewers and listeners for tuning in to today's episode of Dewi Voices, a segment of SMCCI's The Business Lab. So before we wrap up, I would like to thank our sponsors, ID Entity, Craft by Tree, and of course made possible by the people of Studio 5 Corp. And lastly, Selamat Hari Raya!
Selamat Hari Raya, everyone.